have to start with what just happened over the past 62 minutes on View. And it's not even one of my wacky View clips where we just make fun of Sunny or Joy. I mean, we love those. But this is like legit Joe Biden, who's on, well, you guys will tell me what he's doing here. And I'll tell you what Mark Halperin says. He's on some sort of a rehabilitation tour. Well, okay. Anyway, he goes onto The View, and it wasn't rehabilitative at...
What do you get when Joe Biden makes another teleprompter blunder and the presenters of The View pretend everything is fine? Simple, a magnificent breakdown. This time, Megyn Kelly shows up with a flamethrower. She doesn't just clap back, she obliterates everyone. Get ready for a heated debate in which Megyn not only addresses criticism but also imparts knowledge. From Joy Behar's mental fog to Biden's senior moments, this is the circus you didn't know you needed in your life. But the stunner herself? You won't believe who Megyn burnt first. At that moment, you won't be able to express yourself.
Notice that Trump can't stop talking about it. He's obsessed with you. As of late April, he had mentioned you and your family and your administration at least 580 times. We're talking shrink land now, because when you're obsessed with somebody, you have to look in yourself and say, what is going on here? And at his Trump's cabinet meeting last week, your name was invoked 52 times, and he blamed you for the economic mess that his tariff causing. Why is he so fixated on you and blaming you for everything?
I beat him.
In America, Whoopi Goldberg was once again breaching the law and disregarding common sense as coffee was boiling and birds were chirping. The Tuesday was like any other. Joe Biden is the man, the icon, the walking teleprompter disaster. The View, of course, saw this as the perfect chance to pull out their decorative ferns, laugh like a broken laugh track, and pretend it wasn't a train wreck with a smoke trail so thick that it set off the studio sprinklers.
Archives. I thought
A little bit more. Speaking of those around him who covered up his infirmity, at least that's where my mind went. Dr. Jill was there too, and as usual, came to the rescue. Watch 38.
What is your response to these allegations? Are our sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that. Number two, think
This
of
is about the books.
We're left with. We're left with a circumstance where we had an insurrection when I started.
People who wrote those books were not in the White House with us, and they didn't see how hard Joe every single day. Joe worked really hard. I think he was a great president.
She says none of the people writing the books worked for us. Well, one of the first to have his book hit interviewed Ron Klain, who was Joe Biden's chief of staff for almost all of his presidency. And he went on saying that Biden thought he was president of... Where was that follow-up, ladies of The View?
The View presenters erupt in phony applause as Biden waddles onto the stage like your confused granddad stumbling into a high school play. You can practically hear their contracts whispering, "Please don't get fired." A charming presidential appearance quickly turns into a chaotic mix of bingo night, awful improv, and a hint of denial so strong it might fuel Joy Behar's flat iron. Biden struggled to talk.
He could barely spit it out.
And he threw that one out there too. My goodness.
Obama are two peas in a pod on this. Sexism and racism, if you didn't vote for her. That's obviously what she thinks too. But the nerve of all people to come out and say that's why she lost.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal, Megyn. They're putting him out there to provide proof of life because a lot of people are wondering. They hadn't seen him in a while. But at some point in every person's life, you go from to palliative care. And he is definitely in the palliative care category.
The country's favorite media assassin Megyn Kelly observed this glitter-encrusted disaster with the same disdain usually shown to soggy toast and TikTok life gurus. She stated, "I'm disappointed, not angry." Oh my, she also had thoughts. Megyn set the show on fire, salted the ground where the cue cards were, roasted the teleprompter, and burnt the set in addition to criticizing the episode.
Him about that. They asked him about that moment. Watch this. Stop 30 seconds.
When the vice president was here, I asked her if she would have done something differently than your mission over the past 4 years. And because of all successes that your administration had, I think her response was, there is nothing that comes to mind. Now, that answer was weapons against her. And there has been some reporting that you encouraged.
The View's presentation of Joe Biden is, let's be honest, like asking a group of drunk raccoons to host the Olympics. Even though the bar is sunk so deeply that it is practically underground, they were nevertheless able to trip over it. Every time someone nodded, laughed, or asked Biden a playful question, it was like flinging marshmallows at a bear. It was all wrapped in glitter tape and looked desperate. She marinated it in absolute contempt, cooked it gently in righteous contempt, and served it on a silver platter with the silent question.
Did that clear it up for you?
I mean,
you have clarity on it now?
That gerbil is having a hard time spinning the wheel. That is about as torturous as I've ever seen.
And on Sunny's part, too, there. Like,
yes.
She is trying to hand this off to Biden, and hopefully he can take it from there. Like, okay, she wants to straight face tell us that what the question was, like, what sort of wins would you have changed? Like that's an actual question you would ask a person. It doesn't make any logic.
How are these women still employed? Megyn Kelly needed no cue cards or a makeup artist to whisper words of encouragement into her ear. She brought with her working brain cells and the new concept of simple reasoning. It was like seeing someone solve a Rubik's puzzle as she dissected it while everyone else was busy licking the stickers. She dissected the View's awful spectacle with the precision of a neurosurgeon and the joy of someone who had been waiting for this train wreck since Whoopi was granted a producer credit. The View tried to sell Biden's presence as a win, like children proudly showcasing finger drawings that look like abstract depictions of gastrointestinal distress. The seance was led by the View's hosts, but Megyn saw through the glitz and referred to it as political necromancy. As if sponsored by the California wildfire season, she ignited their complete set rather than just a few of them. You nearly believe that the show was supported by a pharmaceutical company that specializes in denial because of how convincing the illusion was. Megyn stood erect through it all, not because she was sitting, but because she was a lighthouse in a storm of caffeine-induced uncertainty. They used a spoon to feed them. Biden received cheers when he finished a statement without mentioning a person by the name of Corn Pop.
By the way, he was like, I've never seen such an effective, like, misogynistic campaign. What the hell? Like, that's actually first take. I mean, I know that Democrats say, well, it's as the country is misogynistic and racist and all those. But, like, he's pointing the finger basically at the Trump campaign saying they had, like, this. Well, I mean, if you go back to, like, the slate of the messaging matrix that the Trump administration put together in the course of that campaign, it was immigration, it was crime, it was the whole economy. I mean, none of these things are gender specific.
Biden's inquiries were so carefully manicured that they could have passed for spicy hotel porridge. It was so loud that even the spirit of Walter Cronkite could have grumbled about the celebration of mediocrity. Then Megyn Kelly showed up, swinging like she was preparing for a heavyweight bout, gaslighting herself. Her commentary was not only harsh, but it also harbored a special resentment toward all of the cue cards that were not properly hidden on the set. She pointed out, without nuance, how absurd it was for The View to pretend that everything was okay while Biden stumbled through his address in 2025 like a dial-up connection. It wasn't reporting, it was fan fiction written by a committee. A group therapy session where the hosts linked hands, sang affirmations, and tried to imagine a future where Biden was shrewd, the economy was doing well, and their program was still important. Note, none of that really happened. She destroyed the entire part, like a cruel reality TV judge watching someone try to make a cake with mayonnaise and blind faith.
I'm saying the way that she's like beyond effusive of being like, so here's the thing. Because of your record of tremendous, dear leader. Like, what?
Right.
Are you asking him a question?
Like, Joe Biden, tell us your greatest weakness.
And you know what? You know what's so amazing?
You know?
What's amazing about it, you guys, is that, so here she's like, I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. You know, I already fucked Kamala Harris's run for the office. And I am not going to do anything to undermine this guy. So I'm just going to give him the answer in the question. Like, you know, and so she tried to distinguish any of her policies from all the ones that you did so successfully. What's your reaction to that? Right? So she's trying to give him the softball, like, and then he has no idea.
Megyn attacked the faux empowerment, the phony screams of astonishment, and the faked laughing whenever Biden lost sight of who he was talking to. She lit the whole charade on fire as a precaution. The best feature? She wasn't even upset. She drew attention to the obvious, providing a former president who struggles to construct coherent sentences a platform and claiming to be giving the Gettysburg Address is more interpretive fiction than journalism. Not the fun kind, either. It was more like what was written on cocktail napkins during a 3-day celebration.
We are beyond happy to have you here today for a lot of different reasons. But my question is, how you?
How you doing?
The family's well, thank God. Things are moving along, and we're getting square, trying to figure out what the most significant and consequential role I can play consistent with what I've done in the past.
Sonny came on stage just when you thought the entire concert could have gone much farther into absurdist performance art. Megyn Kelly compared it to an animatronic church revival. The expression on Sonny's face alternated between worried citizen and burnt-out law school PowerPoint zombie. Sonny's definition of journalistic integrity, according to Megyn, appears to have been adapted from a shattered fortune cookie that was hit by a Prius. The mental acrobatics she performed to rebut Biden's fourth contradiction in less than 2 minutes made her feel as though she had earned a chiropractor and an Olympic medal. The human profile on LinkedIn then, with a somber nod, Alyssa seemed to be attempting to be the voice of reason in a house full of talking toasters. Megyn was right on the money. Alyssa played the intern who can't remember anyone's name, and the entire scene was less of a debate and more akin to group therapy for those who have a severe allergy to honesty.
Hot mess that they air in the mornings, The View, had to issue not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 corrections, legal corrections. 4 legal notes. We only have 3 of them on camera. Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side, and then their fact checks got fact checked. They cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean,
her words, hardly noticeable and completely irrelevant, felt like a post-it note flung into a tornado. Megyn was not annoyed, though she was enthralled. It was like watching a live-streamed cult documentary, only more bronzer and less convinced. If political denial had been an Olympic event, she remarked, the View panel would have won the Games, the Paralympics, and maybe even the Puppy Bowl. To clarify why Biden's blinking, like to a broken turn signal, wasn't a warning sign, it would have been sufficient to power the whole East Coast during a blackout. Then came the fashion selections. Megyn was unreserved in her criticism of the host's outfit, calling it as if someone had broken into a cruise liner costume closet in the dark. Each look said, I'm still relevant, and he quietly acknowledged, I lost a bet. One of her harshest comments was that their outfits appeared to be inspired by Pinterest boards made by people who believe sequins are a personality trait.
lecture from, forgive me, those is over at The View.
I'm a Christian girl. When something like this happens to you, like this assassination attempt, and you say something like God was watching me, that is a very unchristian thing to say because it's very narcissistic. What? Well, God watching me and not watching them, there's something very different.
God should have pulled the plug on that mic yesterday. That's obnoxious. I don't know what church that is how people of faith talk.
She did, in fact, specifically target their table. She said that rather than looking like a talk show set, that massive piece of furniture looked more like a round table where the cast would choose which shade of denial to wear the next week. Beyond simply criticizing The View, Megyn Kelly performed a comprehensive autopsy on it, complete with jazz hands and a smile. You were left wondering why this program hasn't been dubbed parody already, because each statement was delivered with a solid dosage of sarcasm, masterfully tempered with the kind of genuine frustration. Just when it looked like she had said it all, Megyn cranked up the sarcasm and leaped straight into the strange heart of the chaos. How about Megyn? She didn't flinch. She put a spotlight right on the absurdity, challenging them to blink. Attempting to be subtle, or adding a challenging one will have you kicked out before you can say, teleprompter malfunction. The panel is like backup dancers who are desperately trying to break into the culturally relevant field, Megyn said. What did they do? Jazz hands of judgment and outrage were orchestrated. Their tunes, a greatest hits mashup of platitudes and signals of virtue over the quiet hum of self-satisfaction. This is not a talk program, but rather an interpretative dance of sentiments posing as analysis. The View's attempt to study political issues is like a group of toddlers trying to scatter a bomb with glitter and finger paint, Megyn says. It is turbulent, glittering, and most likely going to make you lose some of your faith in people. The show itself, common sense flatlines, complexity is steamrolled into platitudes, and the winner is decided by applause rather than logic in a slow-motion car crash. Remember this the next time Biden appears on the show with the appearance of someone who is attempting to locate the nearest deli counter and the hosts begin to applaud in unison. Megyn Kelly is somewhere practicing her humor and preparing for the next eulogy for what remains of their credibility. And honestly, we gain more from it.